Okay, well, I must say that I really enjoyed both speeches. It was an absolute bricolage of many ideas and many thoughts and many concept strategies, and it was really a nice palimpsest, I would say, of these really interesting ideas. And the two speeches are also very well combined together. I think the first speech of Rianne talks about how to change the perspective, how you have to change the perspective from your workplace, and how by improving your perspective of the workplace, you also improve the public space. And with this along, it goes naturally that your working space needs to be as mobile as possible. As I saw from your workspace, I mean, it's really mobile, and you were showing us examples of of different sorts of mobility and different sorts of temporality and places in between that are always available if you want to use them. And the second speech was about accessed mobility in general, I would say, and about this too fast pace of mobility, which is usually applied when we use other forms of transport like car or individualized transport. And now we come to the questions. When I was observing your speech about how to improve the working space and how to put new ideas into space, into how to invest, how to implement these ideas, it always comes to the idea how to deal with it in real situations. When you come to real situations, because usually we always bump to the situation where we have to deal with owners of space, or when we deal with issues like privatization of space, or how to actually implement such ideas on the larger scale. And this is what I think is important, and we have to discuss if we talk about changing the ordinary workspace of let's say, major groups of people, not only the rare ones which have the possibility to change their ideas as architects or people which work in creative economies and so on. So maybe if you can share with us your opinion about that.
Yeah, we're always on a track of change, I think, and especially if you rethink how you can work now. And you can, if this is my work device now, instead of the big computer. And we can also, it starts already with the table. In the old days you had big computers or a writing table, then came the big computers in the 90s, you had a big space around you, hedonistic way of life, you with your big table, and now it's merging down. And we can also work now much easier in public space because we have Wi-Fi, we can have access to our friends. He's in Berlin, we're here. And it all sounds quite, it's all future, but I'm still in this changing period. I have a problem still with working because I do this beer group here. And we talk a lot international. We have Google Hangouts, and we can have this interface. But the reality is still this interface through a screen. And there's for me still the problem of the real thing.
If I understand right, you talk that now the black mirror is everywhere, and that our life is so connected to technologies, to new ICT technologies, that you cannot separate workplace, and your private life. Is that maybe
also
the issue?
And also who is watching you with you? Because I have at home, I'm not such a Google fan. I have my dot on the camera when I'm not talking to somebody. So I'm a little bit skeptical sometimes also. It feels free, but on the other hand, I think this is the more private, perhaps this is the public space now, because we can hear unwatched, be together. So I think it's sometimes changing. How can we escape sometimes the open world, but it's not open anymore?
And there is many times. I mean, is this debate. I mean, how to explain a public space. I mean, what is an usual
it's
public
a long
space?
Conversation.
Yeah. For example, because when it comes to different social groups, I mean, when a place is open to different social groups, is it a pseudo public space or is it a real public space? Because if you go to a shopping mall, you probably cannot define it. It is public in the sense that everybody can walk through, but not everybody can engage in it.
Exactly.
And this is the thin line which exists between some semi-public and real public spaces. Yeah. And this is also when it comes maybe to the ideas of applying workplace into the public space. And this thin line, I mean, is it really possible to separate your own private life in the case when workplace becomes mobile, when your workplace becomes non-sedentary, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm living it. I have to. So I'm traveling from one place to another. Last week I was in India, and then I'm here. So I also don't know where it's. What is the in between? But I'm longing actually, really for sometimes for a real space. So I'm living it, but I'm also sometimes rejecting it now at the moment.
Now we come to the question. In fact. When I think of your slides, I always think about Marko, for example, which talks about non-spaces and how long does a non-space need to become a real place? How much emotion, how much time do you have to invest, how much time do you have to spend at it so it becomes a real place? In your case, I mean...
A real place, yeah. I'm not sure. I had my real place as a child, but not now anymore. So it's a wrong question, perhaps.
So you're a real nomad then?
Yes, it's not there anymore. No.
So it's like Alain de Botton, which writes his novel on the airport, when he was writing it, and his book on the Heathrow airport for. I believe it was 1 month or something like, or 2 months. I'm not sure how much time did he spend at the airport. And he was writing, and he was using this new perspective of mobility, of constant nomad as a referential point how to write his book. And he actually transformed his desk into a real working space with a new perspective, with a constant new perspective. So I understand. I mean, I can sense the idea which is behind. And is there maybe also one? Excuse me if I ask if it's too inquisitive. Is it also it comes to the different generations? I mean, that different generations can apply different modes of mobility and different perception about workplace. I mean, the question is, how does this perspective change when you're getting older, or when you're getting more mature? I would say, not older.
Now he's on a danger zone. Where do you see me? In the middle of the older generation or the younger generation?
I apologize.
Yeah. No, that's not a problem. But perhaps somebody in the younger generation can answer, because I'm in my midlife, so so what? But the thing is, it's only that like I said, I know from the 80s when in Rotterdam came the first CCTV camera, and suddenly, we were still in the Cold War feeling, and I still have this Cold War feeling with me. So I'm not so a fan of Facebook. I'm not so in the open. I don't dare to do these things. I'm very secret sometimes. I try to be secret and perhaps that's a generation difference then, that everybody's now has the feeling of being more open. Life is a big pinboard. Everything is you can share, and perhaps that's different. I'm more from the private point of view. I'm not sharing everything.
So you have filters. You have
yes,
kind
complete
of
filters. Yeah.
You have some protection.
And I think that's perhaps a difference within the generations. I'm not sure about that, but somebody else can perhaps the younger. Who are the younger? Where are they?
Okay. Anybody else which wants to contribute to the debate or to the discussion? Please.
Yeah. Well, it's not a question, but just I think it all has to do to what we understand about real space right now. Because for me, the screen of my iPhone is also a real space, and I have appropriated that space according to my needs. So I think that maybe the big change we're living now is that these frontiers are so diffuse that we cannot talk about real or non-space anymore. Maybe it's just my opinion or the way I feel it. I don't know.
No, I completely agree. I mean, now with the new ICT technologies, the boundaries are becoming more elastic, let's say, more soft, these boundaries. But, I mean, also, there are two types of theoreticians, philosophers, which talk that the importance of space is diminishing, and then there's the other pole, which talks about that because of globalization, because of standardization, that the importance of space is becoming bigger. So it's enhancing, it's becoming more and more important. And so these are thin lines. I mean, I think because of globalization, because of ICT technologies, the importance of space will not diminish, but will become selectively important for specific space. Okay, but this is another debate. I mean, we could continue this debate for.
There's also somebody online.
Yeah, I know. And Marko, now to you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you hear us? Perfect. Well, your speech, I must say, as a Slovenian, I think it very much originates in the Slovenian context. Because why? Because the Slovenian situation is that that automobility has really taken over in the case of Slovenia. Nowadays, if you look at the statistical data, we have more than 1 million cars, and we have 2 million people. So if you take out the older generation and the younger generation which cannot drive, you come to the conclusion that almost every adult person which is capable of driving has a car, which makes Slovenia one of the most automobilized countries in Europe. And that automobility, automobility is not automobilization. So automobility as a way of life, as social patterns of behavior which are dependent upon car transport really took over. And Marko really emphasized that, and I felt from your speech that this is the case, that you feel emotionally involved in this situation which is happening in Slovenia. But my question is, in fact, my personal opinion is that we need pedestrian zones and that we need more walking activities, we need some more walking strategies and so on. But the fact is that isn't it an equally important question that how to combine the walkable city with other modes of transport, which are also missing in the case of Slovenia? So is it making a walkable city enough, or do we need something else also to make it work?
Walkable cities are not only the ones that are pedestrianized completely. So it's not that you have to exclude all the cars to make a city walkable. It's actually the little improvements in sidewalks, let's say, that matter very often. It's not, let's say, more green, more trees are improving the quality of life. It's not that you really have to exclude all other modes of transport to make a walkable city. So I definitely agree with you. If I made an impression that pedestrianization, like it's practiced in the city center, is the only is the right way to do it, then this is not the case. I think you're completely right. I'm only not very sure that it's only the Slovenian situation. I mean, of course, yes, we have one of the highest motorization rates in Europe, but we are only following actually to what other countries have already experienced, and especially of course, outside of Europe, in America, these trends have been consistently a few decades earlier, and it's also they have peaked. That's also for sure. The motorization rates are falling in most developed countries, including, let's say, some regions in Slovenia. It is not a trend that that will go on forever. The car transport is decreasing, but this does not mean that automatically that quality of life will improve. It's still it's other factors that are important in public space, not only the decrease in car traffic.
I completely agree. I mean, with what you said. In fact, I want to stress that the city is, in fact, consisted of flows of people, and as long as you improve the flows of people or keep the same flows of people, that the people, I mean, not only people, also cultural impulses, information, economic transfers circulate inside the city, then the city is alive. And this is, as you and I probably wanted to stress, is equally important as assuring the walkability in the city. Did I understood right?
Yes, sure. It's the variety also that matters. The variety of uses that are enabled in public space, and walking, as I said, is on the one hand moving, but on the other hand, it's also a means to reach other activities in space, and that's why it's important in, let's say, in social way. It enables much better sociability, and it's also important in economic terms because simply there are more customers for shops in cities, in streets where it's easy to walk than on the ones that don't have these provisions.
And the last questions, I will play a little bit of the devil's advocate now, because I wanted to ask you, in fact, regarding the new situation which happened in Ljubljana when they closed one of the principal streets in the city center of Ljubljana. What do you think are the effects on the short-term scale in the center of Ljubljana because of this, let's say, in the sense of the two poles which exist in Ljubljana? This is the automobilization pole and the pedestrian pole. What kind of effects did it make on the short-term scales, and what do you think will its effect be on the longer-term scale?
First of all, I have to emphasize what I emphasized in several times, that nobody has closed this street. It has only been limited for car traffic. If you go there, you will see more buses than they were there before, and as a consequence, actually accessibility for people is better now. More people can access city center and can go through the city center. So I don't think the effects will be the same here as they were, let's say, in the area around the Ljubljanica River, where all the transport has been banned, and I don't see this dual city that you are mentioning, like the pedestrian and the car city, that strongly divided. I can only see the transport modes, let's say, which are more, which combine better with let's say, moving on foot, and the ones that combine worse. And it's the cars that are, it's not that I have anything against the cars, it's just that they are simply taking too much space. And this realization will continue, I'm pretty sure. So the consequences for cars will be that they will not be banned, but they will be more and more expensive to maintain, because the costs for the social costs are of maintaining this car infrastructure, this car-oriented economy will just get higher and higher in the long term.
Okay, I believe I've finished with my questions. Does anybody else have some more questions? There is one question, Marko.
I think that we have to look on this problem from other sides. We have a lot of cars in cities, but I think the problem lies elsewhere. It's not that we should ban the cars from the streets, but we have to think like, why do people even go with cars into cities? Because they live far away from. If we look how people, where people live through their life. For example, I think that most of young people now live at their parents' home, and to get to work, they usually get something in Ljubljana, or they have to move from their city, so they need a car, because public transportation it's complicated, because you need at least, I don't know, 1 hour for the bus or train, and then you need another half of hour to get around the city. So I think that this problem should be solved from the perspective of living. So we get you give people opportunity to move into the city and get closer to their B point. If we are looking, people have to move from A to B. If this distance is closer, they don't need cars, they don't need... Thank you.
Can I answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think this is a chicken and egg situation. We didn't have this rate of suburbanization, so we didn't have that many people living outside of the cities, like not even 20 years ago. And this simply happened because all investments into transport infrastructure in the last 50 years, not all, of course I'm exaggerating, but they, like a vast majority of investments have been into infrastructure for cars, and it has been very strongly promoted to, in an indirect sense, of course, it has been strongly promoted to that people go to live outside of the city, that shopping centers locate near the motorways and so on. So, and this is then now fueling this more car traffic. And this is actually the situation with investment in road infrastructure, that it's never enough. It's just fueling more and more traffic. This is the experience that most people, most cities have. And I agree. Of course, it cannot be a transition of 5 years. It's another transition of 50 years. But it will have to be made if we will want to keep some public funds for some other activities other than road infrastructure.
Okay. Any more comments? Yeah.
Hvala. Thank you. Anna Kučana, I'm a landscape architect practicing and teaching at the University of Ljubljana. I would just add a comment. I think that this discussion about making cities pedestrian is, I mean, that's the only way the cities could actually go, but it is cannot, as Marko, you have already mentioned, it cannot only happen bottom up, but it is tightly connected, as the younger man just mentioned before. It's tightly connected to really reasonable urban planning, because it's not only one layer, but it's a complex system of interactions which at some level need to be judged and considered from a larger perspective.
So it's more a comment and not a question. If you want to comment on it, Marko? No? You don't want to comment, or you still there? No.
Are you asking me something? Because
yes,
I
yes.
well.
Did you go for a coffee?
That just didn't, the connection was, it seems.
Do you want to comment on Anna's commentary?
If you're asking me anything, I don't think I will answer anything, because I don't know what, I didn't hear well.
Well, she asked you, in fact, if there is, commented if there is difference between the city level and the regional level or the national level when it comes to planning for public transport or for planning for intermodality.
The relations between the different levels of like the local, the regional, and the national level of public transport or mobility in general. Is this the question? Or because I somehow am losing connection. I'm sorry. It's okay. I think.
Then I propose that before we completely lose the connection, that we finish this discussion. And I thank you again for being with us from Berlin. And I thank Rianne for joining us.